I was just watching a little bit of controversy, kind of skipped over pretty fast. I saw a video today because I look up silver too, and I look up, I skip around and see what people say about silver too on YouTube, right? There was a controversial video that somebody put out criticizing Brother John F's calls or something. I forgot what it was, but he was saying that it would have been very simple that, if silver goes up near 29, I believe that was the gist of it, sell it and then buy it back when it gets down below 20, around in the 26 range. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. In hindsight, you got 20/20 vision, but going forward, I don't know. I mean, to me, I was thinking silver might go below 26 when it was dropping down at 26. I don't know. It's like the news is changing one way or another on a daily basis, and it's flying back and forth. This is fashion's idea of a silver alien. I don't think silver aliens actually wear smiley faces on their body, but that's the world of fashion. In the world of fashion, you could do anything. So that's the way fashion goes. But I kind of thought of aliens because, I don't know, Brother John F. was pulling out some lines from the Bible, and I'm not against that. But sometimes I wonder about in the Bible some of the crazy stuff they got in there. So maybe there's some aliens in there too. So I'm not super religious, but I agree with the red words from Jesus, in the King James Version. Anyway, I'll just put it that way. But one criticism I really have of some of the silver pumper and dumpers and stuff, whatever the hell it was, if you take, say, all the people out there that were pushing silver back in April of 2011, right? If you would have told all those people that were listening to those channels and those people that silver would have been $27.10 on July 6, 2012, right? And say, when it closed out today. Well, that's when it closed out Friday. If you would have told them it was $27.10, that was going to be the exact price, you would have been exactly 100% correct, If you would have said that was the price going to be Friday on, say, it was July 6th, 2012, you'd have been exactly right. Everybody that was a subscriber to any one of those channels and all those people that are running those channels would have called you a shill, a guy that was working for the banksters, but you would have been 100% right. It goes to show you how wrong people are. And also, you're looking at the dollar index, $83, 83.26, right? Pretty freaking amazing. Doesn't look like everything's falling apart with the dollar. Now, I think this next QE is going to actually change things around a lot, and I think it is coming up pretty soon. I know I've been reading stories in late 2011. I read all those damn stories that they seed everywhere in all the freaking publications about QE coming out in first quarter or late first quarter of 2012, and that was actually driving the metals up because there was an expectation that it was going to come out. But as things break down, and then Bernanke's not invested in gold or silver, he's got variable annuities, so he doesn't care about the metals. But the Dow dropped, and the Nasdaq dropped, and the S&P dropped. The S&P's not shown on here, but I've shown it before. It did drop, and crude oil dropped. It kind of goes along with the S&P too. So they're going to actually have to act pretty soon at one point in time. I know one day the news is coming out that the economic data in the United States doesn't look that bad, but what I'm saying is the economic data globally stinks. It's bad news because what you got going on in China is actually a bigger slowdown than expected, that even what the government numbers are putting out. And the Europe slowdown is very bad. The actual that index, the PMI, the primary manufacturing index, is actually very bad in Europe. Now, the U.S. numbers don't look that bad, but I almost kind of figured they're cooking the books. They gotta be. Something freaking wrong. Because, when you start seeing the Commodity Research Bureau Index going down, and I'm talking about, when silver was down, say, in the end of December and also down in September, that commodity, the CRI, that commodity research, the CRB, Commodity Research Bureau Index was down then too. But actually, overall, all the commodities are actually worse. They're even down even further. That always indicates to me there's a slowdown. Because actually, in 1979, when you had this big explosive blow off top in silver, platinum, and palladium, all three of them actually did as good as each other, percentage-wise and everything else. There was a very booming economy out there, and it was also coupled with high inflation. I mean, that's just the reality of it, But I think we're going into high inflation again. So, anyway, there's a lot of dumb predictions out there, and that's what burns me up about some of this stuff, because I've noticed that if I was paying attention to Kid Dynamite's blog, I would have known about people selling silver back in April, and the people selling silver back in August and September. And if I was paying attention to other things in Seeking Alpha, that it was stating that insiders were selling silver. But if I would have brought that information up to, I'll pick on a name like SGT Bull or I don't know why I call Sergeant. I don't understand that name, but whatever the hell. I don't understand my name. I'm not putting my name out here either, so I don't know. But unless I get too big, then I probably will, but I'm not big, so I'm not putting my name out here. But anyway, and Brother John F., if I would have put that out to them, or Chris Duane, or I don't know, whatever the hell these people are that's selling this stuff. I almost wonder if they knew that information. If they knew this information, or they just got blinders on, or whatever. I have no idea. I remember the case, when Brother John F. was forecasting possibly $100 silver at the end of 2011. My gut reaction on that, I think he was possibly paying attention to Pastor Lindsey Williams. That's my guess. That's total guess on my part. But I wish I didn't listen to that guy, man, big time. And I actually have to stick with the real guru out there. That's Mark Farber. He's the only one that's actually telling you what's going on. He actually states that he doesn't think gold is going to hit a record high in 2012. He could be wrong. I personally think it may go up, but I'm too bullish on the metals. I think it's actually going to hit a record high because they're probably going to downgrade the debt again, even though that's politically not good for Obama, but I don't think the powers that be care about Obama anymore. So, they downgrade the debt, gold probably can go up. So, let me put it to this way. I don't actually pay attention to a lot of silver channels anymore at all. Period. So, but I think silver is a very, very good investment. And unfortunately, the one thing that's actually going to drive silver up is war. WAR, you know what I mean? If you look back at like some of the things even in World War I, what happened to the price of commodities that went through the roof due to war. And there's a heavy demand on commodities. And I'm thinking, how the hell is actually the production globally going to go way the hell up? It's probably going to start getting on a wartime footing. That's what I'm almost thinking. And it's not going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen. But that could be. That could be. And I don't know what the hell that means exactly, but commodities would be the right place to be. That might be where you're going to see these crazy prices in silver, because I could see the definite part where the inflation's going to come into play and the bond bubble finally breaking, and that's going to move people into gold. People like if lose out and they're scared of the markets, the stock markets, because that's the reason they got into the bonds in the first place. They start running out of options. Then they might start looking at metals. And once you start getting the middle class pouring into the metals, they're going to go way the hell up, right? That's just simple. That's just the way it's going to happen. So I know this is the right area. Yeah, I kind of do have a major beef, though, with a lot of silver pundits out there because, like I stated, if I was Karnak the magician, and I didn't know this last year, I figured silver would be at least $100 by now. I was in with the same people. But if you would have actually been totally clairvoyant last year, when say silver was around $46 or something, and you said that on July 6, 2012, silver would be $27.10, and you were telling people this, you would have been exactly right, and everybody would have been throwing stones at you left and right. See, that's where I got a problem with that stuff, because you could have actually known something. So people don't want to hear the truth sometimes. I don't understand why. I don't know. I looked at some other things. There's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, I don't get into a lot of conspiracy rumors or anything like that. I know they got people listening to web bots, and you can do what the heck you want. I got a friend of mine who listens to those. He sends me an email sometimes, and I read them, and I'm like, I don't know about this stuff, I mean, I know like a recent prediction by Cliff High. He did one. He said on March 3rd, 2012, that Iran would be attacked. And, I mentioned that, and I did a video on that, and, boy, people got interested in that. And I was like, I wasn't really interested. I was just passing information. I was thinking, boy, this is a bunch of BS, but that's what he says. He's actually saying March 3rd. He says, this is public information. I want everybody to know this is going to happen. I'm thinking to myself, how does this guy know this crap? But you know what? People love to hear that shit. I don't know. They like rumors. So the only thing I could say, though, is I think what's going to actually bring silver up a lot, and also all the commodities up a lot, is, if there's a breakdown where all this economic slowdown creates a climate for war. Because this is almost the same type of deal we had before World War II, where they had a global economic depression. That's almost like what's going on. And you might say it's going to start in Iran. So, I don't know. But that's going to be the thing that's bullish for the metals. Definitely. Now, I know that's not a very good statement to make, but it's almost like that 27.10, the $27.10, $27.10. If you would have said that last year or so, like back in April 2011, nobody would have wanted to hear that. But that would have been a dead-on accurate statement. But I think that's the only thing that's actually going to drive the metals up, because I can't see productivity going into a feverish pitch on a peacetime footing. It's probably going to be a wartime footing. I don't know how long that's going to take, but that's how the people that hold the silver coins and the gold coins are probably going to get wealthy and have a lot of money. It's probably going to go to a war situation. And it's that heavy demand coupled with a lot of money printing and governments defaulting that's going to make real assets go through the roof. Now, if I don't have a crystal ball on that, I don't know, this alien lady, she probably couldn't tell you either. But it's probably going to be, start kicking off as soon as we have the conflict with Iran, which has been rumored and rumored and rumored for probably 5 years now, because I knew that stuff's been rumored forever, but it does look like it's getting pretty close. And I was basically leaning to that I think there's certain people in Israel that's going to actually, they really want it to go right now. They wanted to go back probably 6 months ago or 8 months ago. So it's probably going to happen here pretty soon. I don't know if it's going to happen after the election or not. I don't know, because nobody really does that at all, and I don't even think the best people in the country know that. I don't care how high up they are in the military or not, because sometimes things change. One little event could just set it off, and they'll react to the situation, and then the ball's rolling. So that's what that, though, in effect, is what's going to drive gold, coarse oil, and silver way the hell up. And that is an 8 ball that I don't know when it's going to happen. But unfortunately, that is the real main reason that you're going to actually get to see some astronomical gains in the metals. War. It's not going to be peacetime. Just look at how the commodities performed over like every war there was that was a major global conflict. They went up a lot. You know, we're not going to run into the 1979 situation again, because the 1979 situation was a strong peacetime economy. The only way they're going to get a strong peacetime economy is if they start stimulating the economy a great deal with money printing. You know, I mean, it kind of does work in a way. You know, it does. It actually, even though it's not the right thing to do, but that's what actually does it. That's what actually does it, and that's going to drive the metals. But I think we're going to actually be leading to more major conflicts, and that's actually going to drive the metals up a lot. And if there's a very heavy conflict, guess what? That's going to be very high demand for resources. So it's like, you know, you're going to get your wish, but on the other side, you're going to get something you're not going to want. And that's probably what's going to happen in reality. You know, so just giving it out real. Because I think, you know, many people don't want to hear this, but it's probably the only way you're going to make a hell of a lot of money through a serious global conflict. And that's going to drive gold and silver right through the freaking roof.